Greetings, my name is Guy Dauncey. This is the show called Change the World, when we like to explore the edges of creativity, new ideas about the big crises we face on the planet, things we need to change. One of the things that a lot of us think about is the need for young people to have good, deep contact with nature. And my guest today, Melissa Bracken, was inspired from a very young age with the belief that you wanted to spend your life's purpose protecting the environment and performing music. How old were you when you first had that?
Oh boy, okay, so first of all, I've wanted to sing and perform as a musician since I was able to speak.
Which is like 2?
Yeah, I don't even remember the
Yes.
time exactly. And then in about grade 2, my teacher decided to do a big research section of the course on the Amazon rainforest.
So grade 2, let me get this right, you are like 7 years old? Something like that? Something like that,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't get that when I was in grade 2 at school.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it had to do with just how I was raised. My mom and my grandfather are both avid David Suzuki watchers, and my mom always had me very involved in that sort of thing. My grandfather was a farmer, so it was probably even before grade 2, but in about grade 2 I decided I wanted to be a rainforest protector, ranger kind of thing, and my mom obviously thought that was a little too dangerous to go down there and protect all the jaguars and everything.
Right?
Yeah, so it kind of changed gears for a little while, and then went back into it, and that's kind of where I'm at today.
And then you ended up actually doing a degree at Vancouver Island University in psychology?
In psychology. Yeah, the aim originally was to take a biology and a psychology degree and study jaguar behavior, because I was still really stuck on that, but I didn't get through the calculus. So
the calculus
for biology.
To understand jaguars, that kind of
it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. No, the jaguars don't use calculus.
Yeah. So, but you needed it for the biology degree.
Oh right. Yes.
So
yeah.
I didn't make it through my BSc in biology, so therefore.
And how do you find learning psychology relates to your desire to be deep with nature and help nature?
Actually, it took me a very long time to figure that one out. It was very stressful going through my BA because I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to get there anymore. I'd lost my way. So what I ended up figuring out in my last year or two was that there was this wonderful thing called environmental psychology and another very wonderful part of it called positive psychology.
Right.
And both of those, they kind of started making sense. And I thought, well, if I can find a positive way to help people understand the environment and understand how to protect it, then that would be more than enough to make me happy with my career.
If I'm right, during the time you probably would have been studying, the whole thing about nature deficit disorder emerged. And can you tell our viewers what nature deficit disorder is?
Absolutely. So nature deficit disorder is essentially when you're not involved with nature on the level that would provide you with all of the good things that come from nature. For instance, green spaces will calm you down. They will provide you with mental stimulation that increases your brain power and your ability to think. And there's this wonderful section of psychology that's come out of nature deficit, and that is wilderness therapy. So a lot of the wilderness therapy organizations, they will take people with substance abuse issues, people who have been to prison, people with disabilities out.
What about cell phone abuse issues?
That's actually where I want to go. As a profession, I would like to help people understand that you know, the addiction to the internet isn't necessarily always helpful. Like the internet's great, but so is nature, and it's good to have a balance. But as far as the wilderness therapy goes, they take these people out into the bush and they give them alone time with nature. They also have a structured way of doing it, and then they get them relying on each other and relying on the environment.
You know, I have a little story. When I was in my 20s, I was living down in South Devon in a country area, and it was a lovely summer, blue skies, and I decided to go and sleep not in a tent, but under the stars.
Yes.
Like just in a field. I took a sleeping bag out, and so for about 5 days I slept under the stars, and all I saw was the stars when I went to sleep. And when I went back into my bedroom, like, the ceiling felt really weird. Like, what is that? As if within 5 days, I'd gone back to a natural way of sleeping, as we'd done as humans for hundreds of thousands of years, sleeping under the stars.
Yeah.
And the ceiling was like, weird. Now I'm back into the ceilings being normal, because we all sleep in a room.
Yeah.
But it was a powerful thing that happened.
It's very, very powerful, and it does heal people in ways
Yeah.
that you wouldn't expect. Like, for instance, hyperactivity. It diminishes it almost completely.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So I brought a little bit of nature immersion therapy with me, which is these oxeye daisies, right? Right now, when you drive around the country roads, they're just packed full of them, right? And to me, to immerse myself in there's a sea of them, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like something, I can't explain which part of my brain is going, oh my God, this is wonderful. Have a great big sniff, immerse yourself in them, right? And and it's something. Can you explain what's happening psychologically when I'm just immersing myself in a sea of oxeye daisies like that?
Not entirely. It's a hard thing to describe.
Yes, but you know something's happening.
Yeah.
And it's a different something from reading a book or watching a screen. Mm-hmm. There's a part of me that is breathing something really great. I mean, this time of year, April, May, June, when all the flowers are coming out, it's just magical on Vancouver Island.
Absolutely, yeah. And the lupins are all out right now,
I
too.
saw them. I thought, can I stop and pick them as well? I was going to bring them in too. They're just so rich and beautiful. Mm-hmm. And the bizarre thing is, you know how the broom is all out, blazing yellow everywhere. And we think, oh, isn't that lovely? Oh, no, I'm not supposed to think that because it's an invasive plant.
Yes.
But it is beautiful.
But it's a piece of nature.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's supposed to be on our island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's invasive. So you've been working with young children, doing this kind of stuff?
Yes.
You got some stories that come to mind from that?
Oh, geez. So I've been working with children ever since I could work.
Wow.
And stories, let's see here.
Just pops into your memory right now. There you are.
You caught me off guard here a little bit. This is weird.
I know, it's spontaneous. The magic of spontaneity therapy.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
I mean, last year I started working with Fun Society voluntarily in the summer.
Yes.
And it was great to see that end of the spectrum, because I'm usually working in the music,
Yes.
in a little
We'll come to
tiny
the music
room.
shortly, yes.
Yeah, in a little tiny room. It has no windows. So the kids are just so involved in my computer and their cell phones and the music.
Yes.
But going out and seeing kids engaged with whales and beaches and making forts on the beach,
Yeah.
running through the forest, that sort of thing, and seeing them living the way that I grew up.
Right.
It was just beautiful to see that happening again, because I don't see as much of that anymore.
Yeah, so you grew up with free access to the forest, to the beach, running in nature, playing in nature.
Yes, absolutely. I grew up up in northern BC for my younger years.
Oh wow, it's fairly remote.
Yes, and it was remote enough that I could go wherever I wanted. My parents were totally
Safe.
fine with that.
There's only bears and cougars.
Only bears and cougars, but my dog followed me everywhere, so that was good. Then we moved down here, and we moved into a brand new subdivision at the time.
Yes.
And so I had 2 farms, one on the other side, and a mountain behind me.
Right, which mountain?
Mount Zuhalem.
Mount Zuhalem?
Yes.
Oh right, opposite the opposite Couchton Bay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I grew up right beside
That's a
Providence Farm,
powerful big
actually.
mountain, that is.
It's huge and
Yes.
it's wonderful. There's the Gary Oak Preserve that we all know about.
Yes.
But right below it, there's this beautiful arbutus grove.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So lots of fun to explore as a child, like running around, and you know, as long as my parents' rule was, as long as you are home before the streetlights go on, or you can hear me yell at you through the window.
Okay.
You're fine. You can do whatever you want. You can play with mud pies. You can go climb a tree and fall off of it if you want.
Were you doing this with your friends, or were you alone a lot of the time?
I did have a few friends in the neighborhood. They weren't always available, so sometimes it was solo play. But
so, how would you change city life to enable all the children growing up in developed suburbs and things to have access to the same kind of experience?
yeah. That's a really, really tough thing, and I haven't quite figured it out yet.
Is it the way we changed parks? I mean, I look at school playing fields.
Yeah.
You know, there's a town in Northern Oregon. The name of the town is Boring.
Yeah.
And the name of the school is Boring High School. And it's just a field of grass. There's not a tree, not a plant, not nothing. Surely, with school playing fields, we could start.
Absolutely.
Ponds, wildlife, greenhouses, growing food, butterflies.
Yeah. Bringing in nature. And also, I would say there's a lot of fear around bears and cougars and wild animals in general.
Yes.
Bringing in an education system that explains how to deal with animals in a way that's respectful to the animal and not just, oh, the bear walked into our subdivision, let's shoot it.
Yes.
So more of a, okay, the bear's there, this is how you behave, and you back up, you don't look it in the eyes, that sort of thing.
On Vancouver Island, we have no grizzly bears.
Yeah.
They're just black bears, which are smaller and
Yeah.
not quite so big.
Absolutely. And I think also England. My friend just went there, and I know you're from there.
Yes.
What she was saying is they compact the living dwellings for people.
Yes.
And they expand all the farmlands and the parks. And I think that would be a really good
Well, they have a
thing for
planning
Canada.
rule, so there's a urban containment boundary around the edge of the zone. So here's the edge of the town, and immediately it's farmland. And in a lot of Canada, it just sprawls all over the place. Saanich has got an urban containment boundary, which is quite, limiting where it goes, and that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But trails, green space, parks. When I lived in Oak Bay, in quite a suburban street, I could follow the Bowker Creek Trail all the way down to the ocean with my dog running off the lead the whole way, even though we had to cross a big busy road. And that kind of winding of creeks and trails and things into our cities would help, do you think?
Yeah, I think for sure. And just involving it in every new development. And in all honesty, maybe new developments are not the right way to go. Maybe we should be taking old developments and building up, or
but even
innovating
there
them.
are new developments happening because our population is going to continue growing. Every new development is a possibility to include a water feature, a park, a play space, a wild zone, leave some trees, leave some just wild stuff for the kids.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And co-ops too. Co-ops are great.
Co-op housing, you mean?
Yeah. There's one little girl I work with. She lives in a co-op, and her mom is very free-spirited and just, as long as you stay in the co-op, you can run around and you can go to your friends and come home for dinner, right? So she has chickens there. She has all the green space, and she has all her friends there. So they just run around and they.
And what about climbing trees? I mean, did you grow up climbing trees?
I grew up climbing every tree I could find.
Do you think parents are a bit iffy and nervous about kids climbing trees these days?
Yeah, it's really
you might fall,
scary.
kind of
Yeah, and they don't build up their arm muscles. They don't build up their core muscles or anything like that.
Or balance and sense of height, and you don't learn that stuff.
Exactly, and there's a lot of fear around nature, and that's a major issue, I think, is people are just so fearful.
Right.
And it's only in the developed world, mostly in North America, that that would
I lived
happen.
in Senegal, in West Africa, for 3 months in a very remote village. And all the kids there played freely in the trees and everything all the time. And then a friend from the city came with his children, city kids, and when the kids wanted to run up the tree, the parents, oh, don't do that. And the kids were going, well, I want to join them. And you could see that city-rural tension right there, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's what's happening with Vancouver Island, is we're getting bigger and you're seeing it because kids always used to play in that one tree in Beacon Hill Park.
Yes.
The round, I can't remember what it's called, but it's got the nice, like waxy leaves on it. And they've cut it all back now, and you never see kids on it anymore, which is so disappointing because it was the coolest tree when I was a kid.
And so some arborists probably thought, this is what I need to do for my textbook tree, without thinking that the kids are playing on it.
Exactly.
There's a beach here in the Yellow Point area where I live with a great big maple tree that hangs out over the water. And for the last 30 years, there's been a big rope hanging off the tree above the water where it's like 4 feet deep, and the kids would swing and splash, right? And perfect. Yeah. And it's gone at the moment, so I'm hoping it's not been taken away for safety reasons. Someone just replace the rope, let the kids swing and splash, right?
Yeah, exactly. Let them learn. Like, kids are so flexible and they heal so fast. I mean, if they do fall and get a scratch, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, we all get scratches, and then you notice a week later, it just vanished.
It's just gone, yeah. I mean, once you get older, they stick around, but...
I haven't noticed.
Yeah.
So you're a musician as well.
I am.
How do you tie the music to the nature education?
More or less, my goal would be to be the next Joni Mitchell or Bob Dylan. So
That's a good standard.
exactly.
Good thing to aim for.
So very much the environmental music. That
Yes.
I try to stick to that, or something with a positive.
They pay paradise, put up a parking lot.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, so I try to write all that into my songs.
Yeah.
And I try to only play songs with those sort of
Wow.
themes
And
to
you
them.
brought a song with you.
I have.
So I'll keep on chatting while you get your guitar out and get set up for that. This is, my guest is Melissa Bracken. She's a young nature educator, musician, inspirer of young people, and singer, songwriter, musician, right?
Yes.
What's this song called, and what is it about?
It's called Chase the Sun.
Yes.
I wrote it just after me and my boyfriend moved back from Ottawa. So Ottawa was extremely difficult for me. There was a huge culture shock because it was a city.
Yes.
And people were not, they didn't have the same kindness. Well, not kindness, but it's just the same.
It's big blocks, it's city, it's
big,
bureaucracy,
yeah,
it's government.
exactly. And they're very concerned about themselves and not so much the community. So that was really, really difficult for me. And I just kind of wanted to come home to the nature that I knew too, because the nature was another shock. It was all fields and little tiny
So
trees.
Chase the Sun is partly your leaving Ottawa and going back to nature.
Yeah, yeah.
Go for it. Take it away.
Awesome. Coming around the bend, we're going out tonight. My baby's got a ride, we've seen the light. 'Cause it ain't no fun where you're from. No, it ain't no fun without the sun. Here he comes. Gonna chase the sun, gonna run, gonna run. Gonna chase our dreams, gonna run, gonna run. Your green holds you down, but ours keeps us round. Your fears are small in the wake of it all. Come home to your roots and soul. Come home to your roots and soul. Gonna chase the sun, gonna run, gonna run. Gonna chase our dreams, gonna run, gonna run. Gonna swim across the sea, gonna climb mountains and trees, gonna be all that I can be while there's still free. Gonna chase the sun, gonna run, gonna run. Gonna chase our dreams, gonna run, gonna run. 'Cause it ain't no fun where you're from. So I'm moving on, I'm gone. Gonna chase the sun, gonna run, gonna run. Gonna run, gonna run, gonna run. Gonna run, gonna run, gonna run, gonna run.
That's great. Thank you. Hey. So you had two words like come home
Yeah.
to your roots and soul.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was actually essentially calling my boyfriend because he
Wanna
had to.
flip your hair off the microphone. So
Oh,
it's just,
yes.
there we go.
Sorry. My boyfriend was still there. He was working for the
Right.
military at the time, so I was calling him home.
Oh.
Yeah,
Right.
because he was suffering the same issues. There was a lot of focus on money
Yeah.
and less on environment.
Do you think that the phrase coming home has got a deeper meaning than just coming home, this is my house?
Absolutely, yes.
What does that mean to you, deeply coming home?
To me, it was come home to your nature, come home to your environment, and be involved in it again.
Yeah.
And shift your focus.
Right. And did he?
He did, absolutely. He is now, he just got hired on to be a safety person on a research vessel.
Yeah.
So he'll be going up and down to the Arctic and to Victoria with the researchers, taking care of them, making sure that they can do their job
Right.
without fear.
So he's on the ocean, he's getting lots of nature there.
Yeah, and that's actually his dream job. He loves boats.
Do you think as our education system and the way we learn, we are understanding enough about nature and ecology?
Not in the current system.
Right.
The system I grew up with, I watched it all deteriorate. When I was first in the school system, there was a lot of, the teachers put a lot of effort into it, and my parents and the community, they all put a lot of effort into it. And as I got older, I watched as, what I find to be the important programs, they started disappearing. The band programs started disappearing, the arts programs, the environmental programs, and it just shifted over to your basic math, English, and science. So
I gather you've been thinking about designing the kind of course that might be needed to bring ecology as a minimum back into our schools and adult education.
Yes,
what would it look like, that kind of course?
That kind of course, well, I'm actually going to take my PhD in England.
Oh, right.
And I'm going to be focusing that PhD on the course that I will be developing to bring into universities, which is why I need the PhD versus not having it. So the course would be more involved than just sitting in a classroom learning about and dissecting things and all of that. You would actually be going out and seeing these live things.
So it's experiential.
Exactly. Climbing mountains and going down to the beach and looking at the biology, and the instructor would talk about it as you're walking and as you're doing all this, and then even to the point where maybe you're using things in nature.
So normal education, I often think of as my mind is engaged, I'm reading stuff like that. But I hear what you're talking about. You have your mind engaged, your heart engaged, your hands and experience engaged, and hopefully your soul engaged as well.
Yes, absolutely.
That's really going to come to life.
Exactly, yeah. And the goal is to help people find connections as well as projects that might help the environment. So building not only people who know stuff about the environment, know what's going on and are fully informed, but people who can also help it and who are actively progressing.
So learning to become a leader in some way?
Exactly.
Or take on a project of some kind?
Yeah, and even the smallest things, like say you have an accountant who's going to accountant school, they would take the course and they would learn, okay, maybe it's better if I don't print off so much paper. Simple little things, or maybe I shouldn't drive so much, or
get an electric car, or go to my bicycle and think about the impact on nature.
And this is why, because I actually have a connection with nature again, and I like my flowers, I like this, I like going for walks. So
then you would be Dr. Melissa Bracken. It's got a nice ring to it, hasn't it? It's got a...
Actually, when I was born, my parents decided I was going to be a doctor. So my initials spell out MD, Bracken.
There you go. My mother, I think, wanted me to be a knight and a member of parliament. That's neither of them is happening, but there we go. Parents have these big dreams, right?
They do, absolutely.
Yeah. So what would that be, 2 or 3 years, do you think, to get that complete?
2.5, yeah.
In which part of England?
Surrey.
Well, you've got the South Downs, you've got lots of beautiful nature to wander and ramble in down there, certainly. That could be beautiful, right? And then when you come back, I'm not sure how to put this one, to start some kind of Ecology 101 course that schools would embrace?
Yes, it would. I'm hoping to start a first-year course. That's where I see the most...
First year at university?
Yeah, the most bang for your buck, because kids go through high school and elementary school, and they get to their last years, and then they're fine-tuning what their job's going to be, how they're going to make their money, how they're going to live on their own, and their parents are very involved in that, the teachers are very involved in that, everybody's very concerned, how are you going to make it? And they completely forget everything other than money. So it would be a reorientation in first year to, here's how you can take what you learned in your last couple of years of school, which is how to make money, and and then what you learned in your earlier years, how to save the environment, and putting them together.
Yeah.
So that now we have adults who have
It's
both.
a really important phase. When you look at the history of innovation and change, a lot of things are started by people aged between 16 and 24. Because at that age, you feel you're kind of immortal and you're not worried about mortgages and children. You can take on these great projects. Like you were saying that you were inspired with your life's purpose when you were 2.
Yeah.
I didn't get there till I was like 18 or so. I was just 19. But it's exceptional to know that from that early on what you're doing. And I think to have a course in university would be really helpful. And I also get concerned that there's people running big corporations and sitting in politics who don't know what the carbon cycle is.
Absolutely.
And they're making decisions about stuff without understanding how the economy impacts on nature and on the marine life cycle and the atmospheric life cycle and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
How can you make decent decisions if you don't know how nature works?
Exactly, and that's exactly why I think this first year course in general for every student would be mandatory.
And then we have doctors who in their 7 years of study never learn about diet and the impact of food on the body and different kind of crazy stuff, right?
And how much good, garlic and cayenne can do. Like,
Yeah.
it's 2 little things, but you might not need cough syrup.
Yeah, and then how to grow your own garlic.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
don't think we're going to grow our own cayenne. That's got to come from somewhere hotter, right?
Actually, I have 2 plants in my garden
You
right
grow
now.
cayenne on Vancouver Island?
Yes.
Well, that's amazing. So you're growing food as well?
I am. I kind of have a pepper farm because I adore them.
Wow.
So we have like 12 pepper plants and
yeah.
about 8 tomato plants, and then I have everything else
Well,
too.
our time is running out, so with your singing, your love for nature, your work with children, your food, I'm going to have to thank you. Thanks for all this leadership you're giving, Melissa. This is great. My name's Guy Dauncey. This has been the show Change the World. My guest has been Melissa Bracken, soon in a couple of years to be Dr. Melissa Bracken. And my contribution to some of this is my book called Journey to the Future, A Better World is Possible, which is a novel set in the future that describes how we can make such a positive difference in our world if we all decide to do something instead of doing nothing. So thanks for tuning in, and tune in next week. You'll get another great guest. Thanks very much.